piece of evidence that wasn't gathered until quite later during the investigation. It led me to believe that anything could have, I mean, the crime scene had been broken down for several weeks prior to that sample even being tested, so it just, you know, things like that all led to why.
What about those who say there just would have had to be too many detectives, too many people from the crime lab, too many people involved in this conspiracy to have pulled it off? It's just not believable.
No.
Maybe one or two. Maybe Mark Furman. Maybe someone else, but not that many people.
How many others would you think would be necessary?
We're talking about Fung, we're talking about Mazzola, we're talking about Van Adder, we're talking about Lang, we're talking about Furman. I mean, the list goes on and on, all of those who are involved in this case.
All of the names you just mentioned, to me, all of their testimonies were questionable.
I asked him to replace the left glove onto his hand.
What did you think of the glove demonstration when OJ tried the gloves on?
I felt that it was a bad idea for the prosecution. It really was. I'm not going to say I was overly impressed with that demonstration, but I mean, it had its persuasiveness about it, though. It did.
In your judgment, did the gloves fit?
No. No, they didn't.
You don't think OJ was struggling a little bit for show?
I think he struggled. I think he struggled because they didn't fit.
As you know, there have been many that have been critical about the speed with which this verdict was returned. People who have suggested that the jury rushed to judgment in this case. How could you weigh 9 months of testimony in less than 4 hours?
It's my belief that we all paid attention to the evidence itself and to the testimony that was presented to us. It wasn't that surprising to me, to be honest with you. It really wasn't.
At what point did it become clear in your mind that there was reasonable doubt that would be insurmountable?
When I went into the jury deliberation, I had not formed an opinion one way or the other, although I still felt that he was still presumed innocent at that point.
You hadn't made up your mind when you went into deliberations?
No. No. My mind was not made up at that point.
Has anything that you've heard about this case since returning home given you reason to rethink the verdict?
No, not at all.
In the months leading up to the murders, friends of Nicole say that she told them, he's going to kill me, he's going to kill me with a knife, and then he's going to OJ his way out of it.
That was never presented to me in evidence.
If you had heard that in the course of the trial, would it have made a difference?
Honestly, I'd say that probably would have had some significance. Evidence like that. That would lead more to a reason for motive in my mind, because to me, there was an absence of motive. I just couldn't believe that just on that particular day, out of the clear blue sky, the guy just picks that day to decide he's going to go over and kill him.
The past history of domestic violence didn't sway you in terms of motive?
Well, I'm not one to ever want to downplay domestic violence or violence towards women or anything of that nature, because I feel that it's wrong. But people, married people, people who are trying to make a relationship work or that really love each other, there are times when there are differences, and people do argue, and arguments can get loud. And I'm referring actually at that point to the 93 incident.
911 emergency.
Can you get someone over here now to 325 Gretna Green? He's back. Please.
Well, okay, what does he look like?
He's OJ Simpson. I think you know his record.
But what was so significant to me about that 93 incident was that he never touched her. He never touched her.
There was also much about Mark Furman you never heard. Not only did he lie about using the N-word, he boasted about beating black suspects. He boasted about even manufacturing evidence against black suspects, saying when you're a cop, you're God.
Very persuasive. Very persuasive evidence, indeed. I didn't believe him to begin with, so it just proved, it only proved what I had already thought about his testimony prior.
Were you aware how strongly the Browns and the Goldmans believed that O.J. Simpson committed the crime?
I wasn't aware of how strongly they believed it. I mean, my heart goes out to both of those families. I mean, there's nothing that I could ever say to reconcile the feelings that they must have pertaining to the loss that they went through. I mean, it's got to be an enormous feeling that they have. And I know it probably doesn't mean anything to them, but I really do sympathize for them. And that's really from my heart.
Did it cross your mind that maybe he did it?
Sure. Sure it did.
Does it still cross your mind?
No, not anymore. Not anymore.
It's not just a case of reasonable doubt. You believe he didn't commit the crime.
I'd say it's probably more towards a case of reasonable doubt than, yeah, that I know he did commit the crime. I'd say that.
Describe the deliberations, if you can.
They were very organized, very concise. Everyone was very respectful with each other and very orderly.
The first vote was 10-2 in favor of acquittal.
Okay.
The two jurors who voted to convict, what do they have to say? Can you recall what the discussion centered on?
Now, Stone, the only thing I could tell you about that, now, first of all, is that those individuals were never identified. Until this day, I still don't know.
So those two people didn't come forward and say, I think he's guilty, in the course of deliberations, even though they had voted that way?
No.
So there wasn't really any discussion?
No,
about
what
it.
I'm saying is there was discussion, but discussion was always in broad sense. It was never that, oh, I think this piece of evidence points to, I know he was not guilty, or this piece of evidence points to. It was broad deliberation in the fact that we all sat down and decided to share our own opinions about the evidence itself and the testimony.
Nobody said, I think he's guilty, and this is why I think he's guilty, during deliberations, the two who voted for conviction.
Not to my knowledge. I don't recall anyone saying those particular words, not to my knowledge.
If not O.J. Simpson, who did commit this crime?
I hate to sound cliche, but that wasn't the purpose of the trial. I have no idea.
Have you formulated your own theory?
Theory. I've toyed with some different things in my mind, maybe. You know.
Such as?
Well, for one thing, and I mean, this is not in no way to indicate anything negative at all in this regard. I wanted to find out more about Nicole's life every day, or the other people that were involved with her life. I felt that there was something missing, something that we weren't being told that may have shed some light on maybe someone else that could have been involved, or some other persons that may have been involved in. I think there was something missing.
The defense's theory that maybe this was a drug hit gone wrong?
Possibility. I'm not saying that that's a plausible theory, but I mean, it's a possibility.
Did the prosecution ever make you believe that O.J. Simpson was capable of something like this? Did they get over the celebrity, successful, likable O.J. Simpson